Hana pressed her face against the cold glass window of the observation deck. Outside, stars stretched forever in the darkness of space. She had seen this view 1,000 times, but it never got old. The war, though, that never got old either, and not in a good way. The ship shook slightly. Another drill. Always another drill. She was 23 years old and had spent 5 of those years on the warship Eternal Dawn. Most young people her age were still in training, but Hana was different. She learned fast. She flew faster. That's why they put her on the front lines, defending the outer rim against the Vryn swarm. The Vryn were monsters. That's what everyone called them. They looked like giant insects mixed with metal and hate. They didn't talk. They didn't negotiate. They just came in waves, destroying everything. Planets, ships, people. Nothing was safe. Hana walked through the narrow corridors of the ship. Other crew members nodded at her. She was well liked, even though she was one of the only Tolan on board. The Tolan people had blue-green skin and could breathe underwater. Most of her crewmates were Krell, insect-like beings with hard shells, or Vey, who looked like walking crystals that glowed softly. The Galactic Coalition was made up of many species, all working together to survive. That's what the war had done. It brought everyone together against a common enemy. "Hana!" a voice called out. It was Jay, a Krell engineer. His 4 arms carried datapads and tools. "Commander Doyon wants to see you." Her stomach tightened. Commander Doyon only called people in for 2 reasons: promotion or bad news. These days, bad news was more common. She made her way to the command center. The doors slid open with a hiss. Commander Doyon stood at the center console, his crystalline body reflecting the blue lights of the displays. He was Vey, and when he spoke, his voice sounded like music and rocks grinding together at the same time. "Pilot Hana," he said, "I need you to do something unusual." "Sir?" "You've been asking questions," Doyon continued, "about the old stories, about humans." Hana felt her face grow warm. She thought she'd been careful. For months, she had been searching the ship's archives during her off hours. She'd been reading old records from thousands of years ago. "I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to—" Doyon held up one of his crystalline hands. "Don't apologize. Your curiosity might be exactly what we need." He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed a creature that walked on 2 legs, with smooth skin and no shell, no scales, no crystals. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face that looked almost too simple. "Humans," Doyon said. "You know the stories." Hana nodded. "My grandfather told me about them. He said they were warriors from the ancient times. They could heal from terrible wounds. They could live on almost any planet. They never gave up, even when losing." She paused. "But everyone says they're just myths, made-up stories to give soldiers hope." "That's what I thought too," Doyon admitted. "Until last week." He pressed another button. More holograms appeared. Documents, star charts, old photographs. "These came from Coalition Central Command. They've been classified for 10,000 years. But now, with the Vryn pushing deeper into our territory, the Council is desperate. They're willing to try anything." Hana stepped closer, her eyes wide. "What are these?" "Proof," Doyon said simply. "Humans were real. They existed. They helped form the Coalition during the First War, long before any of us were born. And then they disappeared." "Why?" "No one knows. The records show they left voluntarily. Some say they were disgusted with the violence. Others think they had a falling out with the Council. But they went somewhere, and they erased their trail." The hologram shifted to show a star map. One small section was marked with a red circle. "The Council is sending an expedition," Doyon explained. "They want to find the human homeworld, a planet called Earth. They want to ask the humans for help." Hana's heart was racing. "An expedition?" Now? With the war? That's exactly why. We're losing, Hana. The Hadrian line fell yesterday. 40 million people died. At this rate, we have maybe 2 years before the Vryn reach the core worlds. The weight of his words settled on her shoulders. 2 years. That wasn't much time at all. What does this have to do with me? She asked. Doyen's glowing eyes fixed on her. I recommended you for the expedition team. You're young, but you're one of our best pilots. More importantly, you believe. Everyone else going on this mission thinks it's a waste of time. They think we're chasing fairy tales. But you actually think humans might be real. Do you think they're real, sir? Doyun was quiet for a moment. I think we're desperate enough that even a small chance is worth taking. And I think if humans do exist, we'll need someone like you, someone who respects them, to make first contact. Hana looked at the hologram of the human again. It seemed so ordinary, so fragile. Could beings like this really be the legendary warriors from the old stories? When do we leave? She asked. 3 days. You'll be under the command of Captain Yoon. He's Krell, military career, very by the book. He doesn't believe in the mission, but he follows orders. How many ships? Just one. A fast scout vessel called the Pathfinder. Small crew, 10 people total. If humans exist and if they're hostile, we don't want to provoke them with a full battle group. Hana nodded slowly. A small ship, a skeleton crew, flying into unknown space, looking for a myth. It was dangerous, probably stupid, but it was also the most important thing she'd ever been asked to do. I'll do it, she said. Doyen's crystals glowed brighter, his version of a smile. I knew you would. Pack light. And Hana, if you find them, if humans are real, remember something. What's that, sir? The stories say they're dangerous, unpredictable, but they also say humans have something we've lost in this war, hope. They never gave up, never accepted defeat. If even half the legends are true, they might be exactly what we need. 3 days later, Hana stood in the docking bay, a small bag at her feet. The Pathfinder waited ahead, sleek and silver. Other crew members were already boarding. She recognized a few faces, Sora, a Vey scientist, and Yunji, a Tolan medic like herself. Captain Yoon stood at the entrance ramp. He was large, even for a Krell, with dark green armor plating and eyes that missed nothing. Pilot Hana, he said. His voice was rough, like rocks tumbling. I hope you're ready for a long trip into nothing. I hope I'm ready to find something, sir, she replied. Yoon made a clicking sound. Krell laughter. Optimists. The military loves optimists. Come on board. We launch in 1 hour. As Hana walked up the ramp, she took one last look at the eternal dawn. Her home for 5 years. She might never see it again. But somewhere out there, past the edge of known space, there might be answers. There might be humans. There might be hope. The ramp closed behind her, and the Pathfinder's engines began to hum. The journey took 47 days. Hana spent most of that time in the pilot seat, watching stars drift past. The Pathfinder was fast but small. Every bump and shake could be felt through the hull. Captain Yoon ran a tight ship. Drills every morning, system checks every evening. He never smiled, never joked. But he was fair, and he kept them alive. The crew settled into a routine. Sora studied the old star charts, trying to figure out where Earth might be. Yunji kept everyone healthy. The others maintained weapons, engines, and life support. At night, when her shift ended, Hana would read the old records about humans. There were stories of their wars, their art, their cities. They had only one planet originally, but they spread fast once they learned to travel between stars. They helped fight in the First War, turning the tide against an enemy whose name was lost to time, and then they left. Just packed up and went home. The records didn't explain why. On day 47, everything changed. I found something, Sora announced. Her crystalline fingers moved across the display, pulling up a star map. This system, it matches the old coordinates. Everyone crowded around. The system had one yellow star and several planets. The third planet from the sun was marked in blue. Earth, Sora whispered. Captain Yoon leaned closer. You're sure? 90%. The star type matches. The orbital patterns match. This is it. Yoon's mandibles clicked together. Set course, but go in slow. If there's anyone there, I don't want to surprise them. The Pathfinder changed direction. Hours passed. The yellow star grew larger in the view screen. Hana's hands were sweating on the controls. Approaching the third planet, she said. Her voice sounded strange in her own ears. The planet appeared on screen. It was beautiful. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It looked alive, healthy. Life signs? Yoon asked. Yoonji checked her console. Plants, animals, but no electromagnetic signals, no cities, no ships. It's like no one's here. Hana felt her hope deflating. They had come all this way for an empty planet. Wait, Sora said. I'm getting something. Old satellites. Hundreds of them, still in orbit. And there's a structure on the moon. The planet's moon. It's artificial. Yoon stood up. Show me. The view screen shifted to show Earth's moon. On the dark side, barely visible, was a facility. It looked ancient, but intact. Someone built that, Hana said. A long time ago, Yoon agreed. But is anyone still there? They didn't have to wait long for an answer. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed across every console. We're being scanned, Yoonji shouted. Multiple targeting systems just locked onto us. Hana's training kicked in. Her hands flew across the controls, ready to dodge. Where from? Everywhere. Sora's voice was panicked. The moon, the satellites, underwater facilities on the planet. They all just activated. Yoon's voice cut through the chaos. Hold position. Do not fire. Broadcast the Coalition distress code, the old one from the First War. Hana held the ship steady even though every instinct told her to run. Yoonji sent out the signal, an old sequence of numbers and tones that hadn't been used in thousands of years. The targeting locks didn't release. Hana could see them on her screen, enough weapons to vaporize the Pathfinder 100 times over. Come on, she whispered. Please work. 30 seconds passed, then a minute. The weapons stayed locked. And then a voice came through their speakers. It spoke in ancient galactic standard, the language from 10,000 years ago. The accent was strange, but Hana could understand it. Unidentified vessel. You broadcast old words. Very old. Who taught you those words? Yoon stepped forward. This is Captain Yoon of the Galactic Coalition. We come seeking the humans of Earth. We need help. Silence. Then, the Coalition. That's a name we haven't heard in a very long time. Why should we help you? You left us alone. We left you alone. The pact was clear. The pact is broken by necessity, Yoon said. We're dying. All of us. The Vryn swarm has returned, and we can't stop them. In 2 years, maybe less, every planet in Coalition space will fall. More silence. Hana counted her heartbeats. 20, 30, 40. Finally, I need to see you, face to face. I'm sending landing coordinates. Come alone, just your command crew. Land anywhere else, and the defense systems will fire. A string of numbers appeared on the console. Coordinates on the planet's surface. Yoon looked at his crew. Hana, Sora, Yoonji, with me. Everyone else stays with the ship. If we don't return in 6 hours, go home and tell them what we found. Going down to the planet was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. Hana piloted the shuttle through Earth's atmosphere, feeling the heat and turbulence. The sky turned from black to blue. Clouds rushed past. The coordinates led them to a valley between mountains. Green covered everything. Trees, grass, plants she'd never seen before. A small building stood alone in a clearing. They landed. Yoon checked his weapon. Hana noticed her hands were shaking. The shuttle door opened. Fresh air rushed in. It smelled like growing things and rain. A figure stood waiting outside the building. It was human, the first real human any of them had ever seen. He was tall, with dark hair and brown skin. He wore simple clothes and no visible weapons. But Hana could see the intelligence in his eyes, the caution. "My name is Minho," the human said in perfect modern galactic standard. "Welcome to Earth. I'm sorry about the weapons. We can't be too careful." Yoon stepped forward. "You speak our language well. We've been listening to your broadcasts for thousands of years. We kept up with how the language evolved." Minho looked at each of them. "You're the first coalition ship to come here in 10,000 years. That says something." "It says we're desperate," Yoon replied. Minho nodded slowly. "Come inside. We need to talk." The building was small but comfortable. Furniture designed for human bodies. Screens on the walls showing different parts of Earth. Minho offered them water, real water from Earth. It tasted perfect. "You said the Vrin returned," Minho said. "How bad is it?" Sora pulled out a data pad and showed him. Images of destroyed planets, numbers showing casualties, maps of Vrin expansion. Minho's face went pale. He studied the data for a long time, not speaking. "How many dead?" he finally asked. "Billions," Yunji said quietly, "and more every day." Minho closed his eyes. "Billions. Stars above." "The old records say humans helped us before," Hana said, "during the First War. We're hoping that we'll do it again?" Minho looked at her. "You're young. You don't remember why we left." "No one remembers," Yoon said. "The records were sealed." Minho stood and walked to the window. Outside, birds were flying. Earth looked so peaceful. "We left because the Coalition asked us to become something we didn't want to be," Minho said. "They wanted us to be soldiers. Forever. Fight war after war. We said no. We came home. We swore to never interfere with the galaxy again." "Children are dying," Hana said. The words came out harder than she intended. "Whole families, whole worlds. If you can help and you don't—" Minho turned. His expression was pained. "You think I don't know that? You think I want people to suffer? Then help us," Hana pleaded. "It's not my decision alone," Minho said. "I need to talk to my people, to our assembly. This will take time." "We don't have time," Yoon said. "You'll have to make time. You came to us, remember? We didn't come to you." Minho's voice was firm. "Stay here. Rest. I'll present your case to the assembly tomorrow." That night, Hana couldn't sleep. She walked outside under Earth's stars. They looked different from space, softer somehow. Minho found her there. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Too much to think about," Hana replied. "Your planet is beautiful." "Thank you. We've taken care of it." He sat down on the grass beside her. "You really believe in us, don't you? In humans? My grandfather's grandfather fought in a battle during the First War. He said a human saved his life, carried him 3 miles under enemy fire, wouldn't leave him behind." Hana looked at Minho. "Are the stories true? Are humans really that strong?" Minho smiled sadly. "We're not superhuman. We get hurt. We die. But we're stubborn. We don't give up easy." He paused. "Tomorrow I'll tell the assembly what I saw in your data. I'll tell them about the children dying. I can't promise they'll say yes." "But you want them to," Hana said. "I can see it." "Yes," Minho admitted. "I want them to. Because you're right. We can help. And maybe we should." The human assembly met in a great dome made of glass and steel. Hana stood at the back with Yoon, Sora, and Yoonji, watching hundreds of humans gather. She had never seen so many of them in one place. They looked so different from each other. Different skin colors, different heights, different features. But they all had that same look in their eyes. Sharp, aware, intelligent. Minho stood at the center podium. He had prepared all night, organizing the evidence, building his case. Now he spoke clearly, showing images of the Vryn destruction on massive screens. "These are our neighbors," Minho said. "Not in the next house, maybe, but in the same galactic neighborhood. They're dying. The Vryn swarm is killing them by the billions." A woman stood up in the assembly. She was older, with gray hair and steady eyes. "We stopped being the galaxy's soldiers 10,000 years ago, Minho. Why should we start again now?" "Because this is different, Counselor Heejin," Minho replied. "This isn't some political war. This is extinction. Look at these numbers. The Vryn don't conquer. They consume. They destroy. If they finish with coalition space, where do you think they'll go next?" A murmur ran through the assembly. Hana saw humans glancing at each other, uncertain. A young man stood next. "Even if we wanted to help, we're one species, one world. The coalition has hundreds of worlds. If they can't stop the Vryn, how can we?" Before Minho could answer, a door at the side of the dome opened. A woman in military uniform walked in. She moved with confidence, with purpose. Her black hair was pulled back tight, and her eyes scanned the room like she was assessing threats. "Because we're better," she said loudly. Everyone turned. Minho's face showed surprise and something else, respect. "General Nari," he said, "I didn't expect you. I heard we had visitors, coalition visitors." Nari walked to the center, standing beside Minho. "I've been reviewing the data they brought, and I found something interesting. May I?" Minho stepped aside. Nari pulled up a new image on the screens. It showed a Vryn creature, but this one was different. Labeled, dissected, analyzed. "This is from our archives," Nari explained. 10,000 years old, from the First War. She looked at the assembly. "The Vryn aren't a natural species. They're a weapon, a biological weapon designed to consume and replicate endlessly." Shocked silence filled the dome. Hana felt cold. A weapon? The Vryn were created. "Who created them?" Counselor Heejin demanded. Nari's face was grim. "We did. Humans, along with 3 other coalition species during the First War. We were losing badly. We needed something to turn the tide. So we built the Vryn to fight our enemies." Yaun stood up suddenly. "That's impossible. The coalition would never—" "The coalition was desperate," Nari interrupted. "Just like you are now. And yes, they would. They did. We all did." She turned back to the assembly. "But we lost control. The Vryn evolved beyond our programming. They started attacking everyone. That's when the First War truly became hell. We eventually beat them, barely, and we thought we destroyed them all." "Clearly we didn't," Minho said quietly. "No. Some survived, went dormant, and now they're back." Nari pulled up more data. "But here's the important part. Because we created them, we know their weaknesses. Our old weapons, our old technology, it was designed specifically to kill Vryn. The coalition lost that knowledge over the millennia, but we kept it." A soldier stood up. His name tag read Tai Yang. He was broad-shouldered with scars on his face. "You're saying we could actually win this fight?" "I'm saying we have a chance," Nari corrected. "A real chance. But only if we act now, before the Vryn adapt further." Another voice from the assembly. "Even if we can beat them, why should we? We left the galaxy because it was violent and cruel. Why go back?" Nari looked at the speaker. "Because running away didn't solve the problem, it just delayed it. And because—" She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Because we created this mess. The Vryn exist because of us. How many billions have died because we failed to finish what we started?" The dome erupted in arguments. Humans shouting at each other, debating, fighting with words instead of weapons. Hana watched, fascinated. This was democracy in action, messy but real. Minho raised his hands. Enough, let's vote. All in favor of joining the coalition war effort against the Vryn, stand now. Hana held her breath. People stood, not everyone, maybe half the assembly, but they stood. General Nari stood, Taiyang stood, Minho himself stood. All opposed, stand. The other half stood. It was tied, perfectly split down the middle. Counselor Hyejin closed her eyes. As head counselor, the deciding vote was hers. I remember the first war, she said softly. I wasn't there, but my great-grandmother was. She told me stories about the blood, the screaming, the planets burning. She told me humanity swore never again. Hyejin looked at the images of Vryn destruction, at the numbers of dead. But she also told me that humans protect the innocent. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. She stood. I vote yes. We fight. The assembly erupted again, but this time with purpose. People were already moving, talking, planning. Hana felt tears on her face. They were going to help. The humans were really going to help. Yun approached Minho and Nari. How soon can you mobilize? Nari smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was a predator's smile. Our fleet has been ready for years. We always kept the old warships just in case. We can launch in 72 hours. 72 hours? Sora looked shocked. It took us months to prepare our last fleet deployment. We're efficient, Taiyang said, joining the group. We've had 10,000 years to perfect our military systems. We just haven't used them. Until now, Nari added. Minho turned to Hana's group. You should return to coalition space. Warn them we're coming. We don't want them to think we're invaders. Yun nodded. Agreed. We'll leave immediately. But Hana was watching the humans organize. They moved with confidence, with precision. Each person knew exactly what to do. There was no panic, no confusion. These were people who had trained for war even while praying they'd never need to fight. The old stories, she realized, had been accurate, maybe even understated. Later that day, as the Pathfinder prepared to leave Earth, Minho came to see them off. Thank you, Hana said to him, for speaking to your people, for convincing them. I didn't convince them, Minho replied. Nari did. The truth did. We created the Vryn. We have to fix it. Will it be enough? Your fleet? Minho looked up at the sky, where human warships were already moving into formation. Sleek vessels, dark and fast, bristling with weapons. The Vryn are about to learn something, Minho said. When humans fight, we don't fight for glory or territory. We fight to end the threat completely. No half measures, no mercy for monsters, just victory or death. And if you can't win? Yun asked. Then we'll die making sure the Vryn can't hurt anyone else, Minho said simply. That's the human way. The Pathfinder launched, burning hard for coalition space. They needed to arrive before the human fleet and warn everyone. Hana sat in the pilot's seat, pushing the engines to their limits. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. But around the planet, dozens of ships were gathering. More appeared every hour, coming from hidden bases across the solar system. I'm counting 40 warships, Sora said, watching the sensors. No, 50, 60. They keep coming. How many do they have? Yunji wondered. Yun watched the display with his unreadable Krell expression. Enough, I hope. We'll find out soon. The journey back took less time. Hana barely slept, driven by urgency. They had to warn the coalition, had to prepare them. On the 32nd day, they reached the nearest coalition outpost. Hana broadcast their identification codes. This is the Pathfinder requesting immediate contact with Coalition Command. Priority Alpha. We have critical information about the war. The response was immediate. Pathfinder, this is Outpost Meridian. Where have you been? Your mission was scheduled for 60 days, but it's been 79 days, I know, Yoon interrupted. We found them. The humans are real, and they're coming to help. Silence on the other end. Then, please repeat, Pathfinder. Did you say humans? Confirmed. They exist. They're mobilizing a war fleet. They'll be here in approximately 3 weeks. And, Commander? They know how to kill Vryn. This might actually work. Within hours, the news spread across Coalition space. Reactions were mixed. Some people celebrated. Others thought it was a trick or a delusion. The council itself was divided. But everyone agreed on one thing. They would soon find out the truth. Because the humans were coming. And the galaxy would never be the same. The Battle of Talon's Gate started badly and got worse fast. Admiral Yoon, promoted after the Pathfinder mission, stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship Unbreakable Will. Around him, holographic displays showed the tactical situation. It looked hopeless. 17 Coalition ships faced a Vryn swarm of 163 vessels. The numbers weren't even close to fair. All ships, maintain formation, Yoon ordered. His voice was calm, but his crew knew him well enough to hear the tension underneath. Focus fire on the lead hive ship. The Coalition fleet fired. Energy beams and missiles streaked across space, hitting the massive Vryn vessel. The creature ship screamed, an awful sound that came through the radio and made everyone's skin crawl. But the damage was minimal. The Vryn had adapted again. Their organic shields absorbed most of the blast. They're surrounding us, reported Doyen, who now served as Yoon's tactical officer. His crystalline body pulsed with stressed colors. 3 minutes until they complete the encirclement. Yoon looked at the display. Once the Vryn surrounded them, it would be over. The Coalition fleet would be torn apart piece by piece. Sir, we could retreat, suggested another officer. Fall back to the secondary line. No, Yoon said firmly. We hold here. If Talon's Gate falls, the Vryn have a clear path to the core worlds. We hold. But Hana, standing at her station, knew they couldn't hold. Not against these numbers. She'd run the calculations 3 times. They had maybe 10 minutes before the first ship started dying. She thought about Minho and the promise he'd made. The humans were coming. But when? Where were they? The Vryn closed in. The first Coalition ship took critical damage, the cruiser Defender's Pride. Explosions rippled across its hull. Defender's Pride is evacuating, Doyon reported. They're abandoning ship. Yoon's mandibles clenched. All ships, cover the evacuation pods. Don't let those pods... He stopped. Everyone stopped. New contacts on sensors, dozens of them, coming in fast. What is that? An officer shouted. Where did they come from? Hana's heart jumped. She checked her display. The new ships were small, fast, and their energy signatures were like nothing in Coalition records. It's them, she whispered. Then louder. It's the humans! The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in the middle of the battlefield. 70 ships, sleek and dark, moving with impossible coordination. A transmission came through. A human voice. Coalition fleet, this is Captain Taeyang of the Human Defense Force. Sorry we're late. Traffic was terrible. Despite everything, Yoon almost laughed. Captain Taeyang, we're very glad to see you. Save the thanks for later, Admiral. Right now, just stay out of our way. We've got Vryn to kill. The human ships moved like nothing Hana had ever seen. They didn't fly in rigid formations like Coalition vessels. They flowed like a school of fish, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. And they were fast, terrifyingly fast. A squadron of human fighters, tiny single-pilot craft, screamed toward the nearest Vryn hive ship. The Vryn fired back, but the human ships dodged with inhuman precision. They wove through the weapons fire like it was standing still. How are they doing that? Doyen breathed. Hana understood. Reaction time. Humans have faster reflexes than any of our species, and their computers are better. The human fighters reached the hive ship and opened fire. Their weapons were different, too. Not energy beams or missiles. Something else. The rounds hit the Vryn shields and punched straight through like they weren't there. The hive ship screamed again, but this time in real pain. Chunks of its organic hull exploded into space. Their weapons ignore the shields, Sora said from her science station. How is that possible? Taeyang's voice came back. We designed the Vryn, remember? We know how their shields work. We know how to beat them. More human ships engaged. They moved in coordinated strikes, targeting weak points that Coalition sensors couldn't even detect. Every shot counted. Nothing was wasted. A Vryn destroyer turned to attack a human cruiser. The cruiser didn't dodge. Instead, it accelerated directly at the Vryn ship. They're going to collide, an officer yelled. But at the last second, the human ship fired some kind of pulse weapon. The Vryn destroyer's entire front section simply disintegrated. The human cruiser flew through the debris cloud without slowing down. What was that? Yoon demanded. Resonance cannon, Taeyang explained casually. Vibrates Vryn organic matter at its natural frequency until it tears itself apart. Works great. Messy, though. The battle turned. The Vryn had numbers, but the humans had technology and skill. And something else. Something Hana recognized from the old stories. They had rage, controlled, cold rage. A human voice came over an open channel. Hana recognized it. General Nari. All Vryn forces, this is General Nari of Earth. You were created to be weapons. You became monsters. We made you, and now we're going to unmake you. There will be no mercy. No quarter. You die here, or you run and die later. Those are your only options. The Vryn responded by attacking harder. Dozens of their ships swarmed a single human destroyer. The destroyer's shields flickered under the assault. Then something happened that Hana would remember for the rest of her life. A single human, just one soldier, launched from the destroyer in a small pod. He flew directly at the nearest Vryn hive ship, dodging weapons fire, moving with impossible skill. That's insane, Doyen said. What's he doing? The pod crashed into the hive ship's hull. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the pod exploded, a small breach in the organic armor. The soldier's name tag appeared on the display. Quan. Just Quan. He's boarding, Hana realized. He's going inside the hive ship alone. Yoon's 4 eyes went wide. That's suicide. But Taeyang sounded calm. Quan knows what he's doing. He's our best. For 3 minutes, sensors showed fighting inside the hive ship. Energy signatures, explosions. Then suddenly the entire hive ship went dark. Dead. Quan's signal appeared on the other side in a small escape pod. Quan to fleet. His voice was steady, barely breathing hard. Hive ship neutralized. Moving to next target. The Coalition crew stared at their displays in shock. 1 human, 1 soldier. He'd destroyed a hive ship from the inside by himself. Are all humans like this? Doyen asked quietly. Hana thought about Minho's words. About how humans didn't give up. How they fought until victory or death. Yes, she said. I think they are. The battle raged for 2 more hours. The Vryn fought hard, but the humans fought harder, smarter, better. When the surviving Vryn finally broke and ran, they left behind 60 destroyed ships. The humans lost 3. The Coalition lost 2, both damaged before the humans arrived. As the battlefield cleared, Hana looked at the tactical display showing the human fleet. They were already reforming, checking damage, preparing for the next fight. Taeyang's ship pulled alongside the Unbreakable Will. Admiral Yoon, permission to come aboard. We should coordinate our forces. Permission granted, Captain, Yoon replied. And Captain, thank you. You saved our lives. That's what we do, Taeyang said simply. An hour later, Hana stood in the docking bay as the human delegation arrived. Captain Taeyang was first off the shuttle. He was tall, muscular, with the same scars she'd seen in the assembly. Behind him came General Nari and several other officers, and Minho. He'd come too. When Minho saw Hana, he smiled. "Told you we were stubborn." "You were incredible," Hana said. "All of you. I've never seen anything like that." Nari overheard. "You haven't seen anything yet. This was just the opening move. The Vryn Queen is still out there. The real war is just beginning." Yoon approached, offering the human greeting gesture they'd taught him, a hand extended to shake. "Captain Taeyang, General Nari, welcome aboard." Taeyang shook his hand firmly. "Admiral, your people fought well, held the line when anyone else would have run. That took courage." "We didn't have much choice," Yoon admitted. "There's always a choice," Nari corrected. "You chose to stand and fight. That's what matters." She pulled up a holographic map. "Now let's talk strategy. We've hurt the Vryn here, but they'll adapt. They always do. We need to hit them again before they recover. Keep them off balance." "Agreed," Yoon said. "What do you propose?" "Combined operations," Taeyang said. "Your fleet has endurance and numbers. Our fleet has technology and experience fighting Vryn. Together we can push them back, maybe even find their queen." Do-Yoon spoke up. "The queen? She's real?" "Oh, she's real," Nari said darkly. "And she's the real threat. As long as the queen lives, the Vryn will keep coming. Kill her, and the swarm collapses." "Then that's our mission," Yoon declared. "We find the queen. We end this." Minho looked at Hana. "Think you can keep up with us?" Hana grinned. "I learned from the best. My grandfather's grandfather, remember? He learned from a human." "Then let's go hunting," Taeyang said. The combined fleet, human and coalition together, formed up and jumped to faster-than-light travel. They were heading deeper into Vryn space, toward the Queen, toward the end of the war, or toward death. But as Hana watched the human ships fly in perfect formation beside coalition vessels, she felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, genuine hope. The myths were real. The legends were true. And now, finally, the galaxy had a chance. The combined fleet traveled for 16 days, hunting the Vryn Queen. They followed scattered swarms, intercepted Vryn communications, analyzed attack patterns. General Nari worked with Admiral Yoon's tactical team, teaching them how to read Vryn behavior. Hana had been reassigned. She was now a liaison officer aboard the human flagship, the Indomitable. Captain Taeyang had requested her specifically. "You understand us," he'd said, "and we need someone who can help the coalition understand us too." Living on a human ship was strange. Everything was designed for their size and shape. The gravity felt different. The food was different, though surprisingly good. But the biggest difference was the crew. Humans trained constantly. Every spare moment was spent drilling, practicing, studying. They prepared for every possible failure scenario. "Why do you train so much?" Hana asked Quan one day. The soldier who'd boarded a hive ship alone was cleaning his weapons in the armory. Quan looked up. "Because we plan for failure. Everyone plans for success. That's easy. But humans prepare for when things go wrong. When your weapon jams, when your ship loses power, when half your squad is dead and you're alone." He smiled grimly. "That's when training matters." Hana practiced with the human soldiers. They taught her their fighting techniques, not just physical combat, but strategy, psychology, how to think like a human. "It's about endurance," a soldier named Jisoo explained. "Other species are faster or stronger, but humans, we outlast everyone. We don't quit." On the 10th day, Minho found Hana in the observation deck. She was watching stars drift past, thinking about home. "Missing the eternal dawn?" he asked. "A little," she admitted. "But this is important. Learning from you, understanding how humans fight." Minho sat beside her. "Can I tell you something? We're scared too." Hana looked at him in surprise. You are? Of course. Fear is natural, healthy even. It keeps you alert. Minho stared at the stars. The difference is that humans don't let fear stop us. We acknowledge it, then we do the job anyway. Like Quan boarding that hive ship? Exactly like that. He was terrified. Told me later his hands were shaking the whole time. But he did it because it needed doing. On day 16, they found what they were looking for. The Vryn Queen's homeworld was a nightmare. It wasn't a planet anymore. It was a living organism. Organic structures covered the entire surface, pulsing with horrible life. Thousands of Vryn ships orbited it like blood cells. That's impossible, Doyen whispered, staring at the scans. That planet is eating others. It's mobile. It's consuming entire worlds to grow. Nari studied the data. The Queen is the planet. Or the planet is the Queen. They're the same thing now. She's been evolving for 10,000 years. Yoon's voice was steady despite the horror. Can we kill something that big? We have to, Taeyang said. If we don't, she'll consume everything eventually, the whole galaxy. The battle plan was desperate. The fleet would engage the orbital defenses while a strike team penetrated the planet's core. There, they would plant fusion bombs powerful enough to tear the Queen apart from inside. Suicide mission. Everyone knew it. I'm going, Hana said immediately. Taeyang looked at her. Hana, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I came all the way to Earth to find you, to ask for help. I'm not sitting on a ship while you finish this. Minho stepped forward. I'm going too. Me as well, said Quan. And me, added Yunji. Soon, a dozen volunteers stood ready, humans and coalition members together. The strike team consisted of 8 humans, 3 Tolan, including Hana and Yunji, 2 Krell, and 1 Vey. They boarded a stealth ship designed to slip through the orbital defenses. As they prepared to launch, Yoon approached Hana. Pilot Hana, you've come a long way from that curious young officer on the Pathfinder. I had good teachers, sir. If you survive this, you're getting your own ship. Captain Hana has a nice sound to it. Hana smiled. I'll hold you to that. The stealth ship, piloted by Jisoo, slipped past the orbital defenses using human cloaking technology. They entered the planet's atmosphere. The air was thick, toxic, alive with Vryn organisms. Landing site ahead, Jisoo announced. 3 kilometers from the core entrance. They landed in a valley of writhing organic matter. The ground moved beneath their feet. Everything smelled like rot and metal. Stay together, Taeyang ordered. Watch for defenders. The defenders came immediately. Vryn soldiers, smaller than the ships but still massive, erupted from the ground. The team opened fire. Human weapons tore through Vryn armor. Coalition weapons added their firepower. The battle was fierce and close. Quan fought like a demon, his weapons never stopping. Hana saw why humans were so feared. They didn't just fight, they fought with absolute focus. No hesitation, no mercy. Keep moving, Nari shouted. She carried the fusion bombs, heavy devices strapped to her back. They fought their way to the core entrance, a massive tunnel leading deep into the planet. It was lined with organic material that pulsed like a heartbeat. Inside the tunnel, the temperature rose. The walls secreted acid. Yunji treated burns and injuries as they moved, never slowing down. Contact rear, someone shouted. More Vryn. They were being hunted. The Queen knew they were here. Quan, Jisoo, hold them off, Taeyang ordered. Everyone else with me. The 2 soldiers turned back, weapons blazing. Hana heard the sounds of fighting behind them as they descended deeper. The core chamber was vast. At the center was the Queen, a massive, pulsing organism the size of a building. She was aware, intelligent, ancient, and she spoke, not in words, but in feelings pushed into their minds. Anger, hunger, hatred. Plant the bombs, Nari ordered, fighting against the mental assault. Minho was bleeding from his nose. The psychic pressure was crushing him. Hana grabbed him, kept him on his feet. "Stay with me," she said. "We're almost done." Humans placed the bombs around the chamber. 1, 2, 3, 4, the last one. The queen lashed out physically. A massive tentacle smashed into the wall next to them. Another grabbed one of the Krell soldiers, crushing him before anyone could react. "Bombs are set!" Nari shouted. 10-minute timer, move, move, move! They ran. Behind them, the queen screamed, a sound that shook the planet. Quan and Jisoo were waiting at the tunnel entrance. Both were wounded but alive. "Go!" Quan yelled. "I'll cover the rear!" They ran through the tunnel. Vryn swarmed from every direction. The team fought their way up, losing another member to a lucky Vryn strike. They reached the surface. The ship was there, engines running. Jisoo threw herself into the pilot's seat. "Everyone in! Now!" They piled into the ship. Jisoo launched before the door was fully closed. Behind them, Vryn organisms were climbing up from the ground, trying to catch them. 3 minutes to detonation, Nari said, checking her timer. The ship climbed through the atmosphere. Orbital defenses fired at them. A shot hit their engine. Alarms screamed. "We're not going to make it out of the blast radius," Jisoo said, fighting the controls. Minho collapsed. The psychic assault had damaged him badly. Yoonji worked on him frantically. "Come on," Hana whispered. "Come on, come on." 1 minute, 30 seconds, 10. The planet exploded. The fusion bombs tore the queen apart from inside. The entire planet shattered, breaking into massive chunks. The shockwave hit the ship, sending it spinning. Jisoo somehow kept them from breaking apart. Warning lights covered every console, and then, suddenly, silence. The Vryn stopped. Every ship in orbit just stopped. They drifted, powerless, dead. "She's gone," Nari said quietly. "The queen is dead. Without her, the Vryn are just mindless organisms. They're finished." Taeyang smiled. "We won." The fleet recovered them an hour later. Minho was badly hurt but would survive. They'd lost 3 team members, but they'd killed the queen. The war was over. 3 months later, Hana stood on the bridge of her own ship, the Horizon's Dawn. Captain Hana. It felt strange but good. The ship was part of a new joint coalition human patrol group. Humans had integrated into coalition space. They didn't dominate or take over. They just joined as equals. Her crew was mixed. Humans, Krell, Vey, and Tolan working side by side, learning from each other. Taeyang visited her new ship on its maiden voyage. Nice vessel, smaller than the Indomitable but fast. "I like fast," Hana said. "Learned that from humans." Taeyang laughed. "You're practically human yourself now. Stubborn enough anyway." Minho was there too, recovered from his injuries. He'd taken a position as an ambassador between Earth and the Coalition, building bridges, making sure the old mistakes weren't repeated. "You know what I realized?" Minho said, looking out at the stars. "We tried to hide from the galaxy. Thought we could avoid the violence by staying home, but isolation doesn't work. The galaxy needs guardians, protectors." "And now you're back," Hana said. "Now we're back," Minho agreed. "For good this time." That night, Hana sat alone in her quarters, looking at an old photo. Her grandfather's grandfather, standing next to a human soldier after that battle so long ago. The human had saved his life. Now humans had saved all of them. The stories had been real. The legends were true. And now a new story was beginning. Humans weren't myths anymore. They were allies, friends, family. The galaxy would never forget them again, because humans had returned to the stars, and this time they were here to stay.